The email came late, almost midnight. I was about to shut my laptop down when I saw the notification. Her name. After everything, after all the silence, there it was again in my inbox. I just stared at it. My stomach tightened. My hand hovered over the mouse. I hadn't heard from her since the day she walked out of my life with a smile and my last bit of trust. And now, out of nowhere, she was back not in person but in pixels. I clicked. It wasn't long. Just a few lines, asking how I was doing, saying she missed the peaceful mornings. As if those mornings hadn't cost me everything. As if she hadn't taken that peace and turned it into something I still can't fully explain. I thought I'd found healing here. Thailand felt like a second chance, quiet mornings, her warm hands in mine, that soft smile when she called me her protector. For the first time in years, I felt needed, wanted. But I didn't realize I was also her provider. Not just emotionally, financially. Piece by piece, she chipped away at what I had left, until the savings were gone, the future plans, gone. And the man I used to be? He started slipping away too. This isn't the part of Thai relationships they put in brochures. No one warns you about this part, but I lived it, and it broke something in me that I'm still trying to name. If you've ever believed love could save you, if you've ever given more than you could afford to lose emotionally, financially, spiritually, then I hope you'll stay with me. Please, like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know where you're watching from. I read every word. And to the ones who keep coming back, video after video, super thank you. Seriously. You're the reason I keep opening up. You're the reason I still believe stories like this matter. This is personal. It's raw. But maybe it'll help someone else. Let me take you back to where it all started. The arthritis in my knees had been killing me for years back in Tulsa. Every winter felt like my bones were freezing from the inside out. Margaret used to rub Tiger Balm on my joints before bed, her small hands working circles into my aching muscles. After she passed, those winter nights became unbearable. The house felt too big, too quiet, too cold. My pension check stretched further overseas, everyone said. Thailand had sunshine year-round and medical care that wouldn't bankrupt me. What they didn't mention was how lonely you could feel surrounded by warmth. The first massage I got in Chiang Mai changed everything. Not just the pain relief, though that was real enough. It was the human touch. Professional, yes, but gentle, in a way I'd forgotten existed. The spa sat tucked between a noodle shop and a temple, its wooden floors cool under bare feet. Incense drifted through bamboo screens, mixing with the sound of distant chanting. "You have much tension here," she said, pressing into my shoulder blades. Her English carried that musical Thai accent that made even criticism sound like a lullaby. "You work hard job before?" "Paramedic," I told her. 38 years. "Ah, you help people. Very good karma." I'd never thought about karma before. In Oklahoma, you did your job, paid your taxes, went to church if you were raised that way. But something about how she said it made me want to believe good deeds mattered somewhere in the cosmic accounting. "I'm Sassathorn," she said when the session ended, "but you can call me Sa, easier for American tongue. Eugene, but most folks call me Jean." "Jean," she repeated, testing the sound. "Like genetics, the science of what makes you, you." I laughed, surprised by the connection. Never heard it put that way. I studied English at university before. Always remember interesting words. That first week, I went back 3 times. My knees felt better than they had in years, but that wasn't why I kept returning. Sa had this way of listening that made me feel heard. When I mentioned missing Margaret's cooking, she suggested we visit the night market together. "I show you real Thai food," she said, "not tourist version." We walked between vendor stalls as steam rose from woks and the smell of grilled meat mixed with jasmine flowers. She ordered for both of us, her rapid Thai flowing like music while she pointed at different dishes. When the vendor handed me a plate of som tam, Sa watched my face carefully. "Too spicy?" she asked. "Burns like hell," I admitted, reaching for water. She laughed, covering her mouth with her hand. You honest, I like this. That became our routine. After her shifts, we'd explore different corners of Chiang Mai. She'd translate menu items, warn me about street food that might upset my stomach, and tell me stories about growing up in Aizen province. Her father drove a taxi, she said. Her mother sold vegetables at the local market. They work very hard but never have enough, she told me one evening as we sat by the Ping River. I send money every month. Sometimes I think, why I born poor family? Money doesn't make a family, I said. My parents had plenty, but they were cold as winter mornings. Your folks raised someone kind. That's worth more than cash. She looked at me with something I couldn't quite read. You remind me of my father, she said finally. Strong and kind. I felt something shift in my chest. When was the last time someone had called me strong? 2 weeks later, Sa started staying after work some evenings. We'd sit in my rented room, drinking tea and watching Thai soap operas with English subtitles. She'd explain cultural references I missed, laughing when I got confused by the dramatic plot twists. In Thailand, we love big emotions, she said. Happy, sad, angry, love, everything must be maximum feeling. Americans keep things bottled up more, I said. This not healthy. Heart needs to breathe. She was right about that. Mine had been holding its breath for 2 years. One evening, she curled up against my shoulder while we watched television. Her hair smelled like coconut oil and jasmine. I hadn't held anyone since Margaret's final days in the hospital. The warmth of another person against me felt like coming back to life. Jean, she said softly, you lonely man? Sometimes, I admitted. Me too. Work all day, go home alone. Same. Your English is getting better. You good teacher, patient with my mistakes. I kissed the top of her head without thinking. She didn't pull away. The next morning, she made Thai coffee in my tiny kitchen, the sweet condensed milk swirling through the dark brew like cream-colored clouds. We sat on my balcony watching monks collect alms in the street below, their orange robes bright against the gray dawn. Jean, she said, stirring her coffee slowly, I want to tell you something. My stomach tightened. In my experience, conversations that started this way rarely ended well. I have boyfriend before, Thai man younger than me. He handsome, ride motorcycle, make me laugh. She paused, watching the steam rise from her cup. But he only want money. Always asking for loan, for help with this, with that. Never pay back. I feel like ATM machine, not girlfriend. That's not how love works, I said. No, but many Thai men, they think woman must take care, provide food, money, everything. I tired of this. She reached across the small table and touched my hand. You different. You ask about my day, my dreams. You listen when I speak, this very rare. I turned my palm up and she laced our fingers together. Her skin was soft from all the lotions she used at the spa. You make me feel safe, she continued, like I can rest my heart. That afternoon she didn't go home after work. We made love slowly, carefully, like people who'd forgotten how good it could feel to be wanted. Afterward, she traced circles on my chest with her fingertip. Would you still like me if I had nothing? She asked quietly. Money doesn't matter to me, Sa. I've got enough for both of us. She smiled, but something flickered in her eyes that I didn't catch then. I was too busy drowning in the feeling of being needed again. The following week, Sa mentioned her rent was due and she was short on cash. A regular client had canceled several appointments, she explained, and the spa reduced her hours. I don't like to ask, she said, not meeting my eyes. But maybe you could help? Just this one time? I handed her the money, without hesitation. $200 seemed like nothing compared to what she'd given me. A reason to wake up each morning, someone to share meals with, the warmth of another body next to mine at night. I pay you back, she promised. Don't worry about it. That's what people do for each other. She kissed me like I'd just saved her life. We started spending entire weekends together. I'd pick her up after work on Friday, and she wouldn't go home until Monday morning. She decorated my sparse apartment with small touches, a potted orchid on the windowsill, colorful throw pillows for the couch, photos of us together at various temples and markets around the city. "This place need woman touch," she said, arranging jasmine flowers in a water glass. "Too much like hospital room before." I loved watching her move through my space, humming Thai songs while she cooked pad Thai or massaged my shoulders after long walks. For the first time since Margaret died, I felt like I had a home again, not just a place to sleep. One evening, she suggested I move closer to her spa. "The neighborhood where you stay now, not so safe for Farang," she said, using the Thai word for foreigner. "Many thieves, drug people. Near my work, more family area. You be safer." The condo she showed me cost twice what I was paying, but it had a modern kitchen, air conditioning that actually worked, and a small balcony overlooking a wat with golden stupas that caught the morning light. "Plus," she added with a shy smile, "I could stay over more often, take better care of you." I signed the lease that day. Saw threw herself into decorating our new place with an enthusiasm that reminded me of Margaret preparing for Christmas. She bought curtains and kitchen utensils, a small Buddha statue for good luck, and a comfortable chair for my bad back. Watching her create a nest for us felt like falling in love all over again. "You spoil me too much," she said one evening as I handed her cash to buy groceries. "I feel guilty taking your money." "It's our money now," I said. "Partners share everything." She wrapped her arms around my neck and kissed me deeply. "You are good man, Jean. Best man I ever know." I believed her completely. The first crack in my happiness came on a Tuesday afternoon. I'd finished physical therapy early and decided to surprise Saw at work with lunch from her favorite noodle stand. When I arrived at the spa, I saw her climbing off the back of a motorcycle driven by a young Thai man with arms covered in traditional tattoos. She looked startled to see me. "Jean, what you doing here?" "Brought you lunch," I said, holding up the bag of food. "Who's your friend?" The man on the motorcycle revved his engine and drove away without acknowledging me. "That my cousin," Saw said quickly. "His name Niran. He give me ride when my scooter broken. I could have picked you up. You know that. You was at doctor. I not want to bother." Something in her tone felt off, but I couldn't pinpoint what. Maybe I was just being paranoid. Margaret used to tease me about being jealous of every man who looked at her twice. "Of course," I said. "Sorry. I didn't mean to sound suspicious." Saw's expression softened. "You sweet to worry about me, but I am big girl, can take care of myself." We ate lunch together on the spa's small patio, and she seemed her normal self, laughing at my attempts to use chopsticks, feeding me bites of mango sticky rice, holding my hand across the table. By the time I left, I'd convinced myself I'd imagined the tension. But over the next few weeks, I started noticing other small things. Saw would get text messages that made her frown, then quickly delete them. She began canceling some of our evening plans, claiming the spa needed her to work late. When I offered to wait for her, she said it might be very late and I should go home. "You need your rest," she said. "Old bones need sleep." The comment stung more than it should have. I was only 66, not ancient, and my bones felt pretty good when she was lying next to me. One night I couldn't sleep and walked to the 7-Eleven for milk around midnight. On the way back, I saw Saw leaving a karaoke bar with the same tattooed man from the motorcycle. They were laughing, his arm around her waist in a way that looked anything but cousiny. I stood in the shadows, watching them walk toward his bike. He said something that made her laugh harder, throwing her head back like she did when I told my best jokes. They kissed before she climbed on behind him. I walked home feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach. The next morning, Saw arrived at my place looking tired but cheerful. She made coffee and toast, humming that same Thai song she always hummed when she was happy. "You sleep good?" she asked, settling into my lap. "Like a baby," I lied. "Good. I worry about you when I'm not here. Where were you last night?" She went still. "At work. Very busy. Many customers." "Until midnight?" Sometimes Thai people like late massage after drinking before going home to wife. She laughed, but it sounded forced. Help them avoid trouble. I wanted to ask about the karaoke bar, about the kiss, about the lies, but I was afraid of what I might hear. Instead, I held her tighter and told myself there had to be an explanation. 2 days later, Saw asked if I could help with a family emergency. My father, he have accident with taxi, she said, tears forming in her eyes. Need money for hospital bill. Government insurance not cover everything. How much, I asked. 5,000 baht, maybe little more. That was about $150. I gave her 200 without question. I pay you back soon as I can, she promised. Family comes first, I said. That's what you do for people you love. She kissed me like I'd just proposed marriage. But something nagged at me over the following days. Her English was usually pretty good, but she'd said her father have accident, not had an accident. Small grammatical mistakes happened when she was stressed or lying. I'd noticed the pattern during our months together. I tried to push the thought away. Margaret always said I overanalyzed everything, looking for problems that didn't exist. Maybe grief had made me paranoid about losing people I cared about. The breaking point came 3 weeks later at a coffee shop near the old city walls. I was reading a book and waiting for Saw to finish work when a Dutch man at the next table leaned over. Excuse me, but aren't you dating Sassathorn from the Rainbow Spa? You know Saw? Knew her a few years back. Lovely girl. She's got quite the charm, doesn't she? Something in his tone made my chest tighten. She's wonderful. Oh, absolutely, very caring, very attentive, made me feel like the most important man in Chiang Mai. He sipped his espresso slowly. Right up until she cleaned out my bank account. I think you have her confused with someone else. Long black hair, beauty mark on her left shoulder, calls everyone darling when she's being sweet. The beauty mark detail hit me like a slap. I'd kissed that exact spot countless times. Look, mate, the Dutchman continued, I'm not trying to ruin your day, but that girl has a system. Find a lonely expat, make him feel special, then bleed him dry while keeping a Thai boyfriend on the side. Cost me nearly $10,000 before I caught on. I stood up so quickly my chair scraped against the concrete floor. You don't know what you're talking about. Maybe not, he said with a shrug. Maybe you're different, maybe she's changed, but I'd keep an eye on my wallet if I were you. I walked home in a daze, the man's words echoing in my head. Sa had never asked for large amounts of money, just small help here and there, rent, groceries, family emergencies, the kind of support you'd give any partner going through tough times. But as I sat in our condo surrounded by the decorations she'd chosen, I started adding up the numbers in my head. 200 for rent, 300 for the security deposit, 150 for her father's hospital bill, another 100 for her scooter repairs, 50 here and there for groceries and small expenses. Over the past 3 months, I'd given her nearly $2,000 without really thinking about it. That night, after Saw fell asleep next to me, I did something I'd never done before. I looked at her phone. My hands shook as I scrolled through her messages. Most were in Thai, meaningless strings of characters I couldn't read, but one recent conversation made my blood freeze. I copied the Thai text and pasted it into Google Translate. He's still paying for everything. Very easy. I try to get more money next week for your motorcycle repair. The response came from someone named Niran. Good girl, how much total now? Almost 60,000 baht. Maybe more if I say my mother's sick. Enough for new bike soon? This Farang very stupid or very in love? Both. He believe everything I say. Think we getting married soon. The laughing emoji at the end felt like a knife twisting in my chest. I set the phone down carefully and stared at the ceiling for the rest of the night, listening to Sa breathe peacefully beside me. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I'd been planning a future with, didn't exist. She was a character Sa had created to separate me from my money. In the morning, I made coffee and toast like always. Sa stretched and smiled sleepily when she smelled the breakfast. You best boyfriend in world, she murmured, padding to the bathroom in one of my old t-shirts. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw her phone at the wall and demand explanations. Instead, I buttered her toast and pretended everything was normal. Over the next few days, I watched Sa with new eyes. The way she steered conversations away from her family whenever I asked specific questions, how she always had her phone face down when we were together. The practiced way she made me feel guilty for doubting her loyalty. You seem distant, she said one evening as we watched television. Something wrong? Just tired. You work too hard thinking about things. Thai people say, don't think too much, just feel. Life more simple that way. The irony was devastating. I'd been feeling instead of thinking for months, and it had cost me nearly everything. Finally, I couldn't pretend anymore. We were sitting by the river after dinner, watching long-tail boats ferry tourists along the water. Sa was scrolling through her phone, occasionally laughing at something on the screen. Sa, I said quietly, is there someone else? Her finger froze over the screen. For a long moment, she didn't speak. Why you ask this? I saw you with that man, Niran, more than once. She set down her phone and looked out at the water. When she spoke, her voice was different, flatter, less musical. You were good to me, Jean, very good, but I cannot live just for kindness. What does that mean? It means I am 27 years old. I need security, not just nice old man who bring me flowers. The word old hit like a physical blow. I thought we had something real, I said. We did, for a while. But you want different things than me. You want quiet life, simple life. I want more. More what? More everything. More money, more excitement, more future. Niran is my age. He understands what I need. And what about what I need? She turned to look at me then, and I saw something in her face I'd never noticed before. Not cruelty exactly, but a cold calculation. You need someone to take care of you, she said. Someone to make you feel young again. But I cannot be your nurse forever. I never asked you to be my nurse. No, but this what you want. Old man, young woman. Very common story in Thailand. But I have my own story to write. We sat in silence for several minutes. A group of tourists floated past on a dinner cruise, their laughter echoing across the water. The money I gave you, I said finally, was any of it real? The need was real. My family, Niran's bike, our plans, all real. Just not the way I told you. So everything was a lie. Not everything. I did care for you, Jean. You made me feel special for a while. Like I was worth more than just my body, my youth. That was gift. But not enough to stay. No, not enough. She reached over and touched my hand. I pulled away. I am sorry, she said. I know this hurt you. But better you know truth now than live and dream forever. Is it? Better, I mean? For you, yes. You find someone better. Someone who wants same things. And for you? She smiled. And for a moment I saw the old Sa, the one who'd made me believe in second chances. For me, I find what I was looking for all along. She stood up and smoothed down her dress. I come get my things tomorrow when you at physical therapy. Easier that way. Sa, wait. But she was already walking away, her heels clicking against the concrete path. I watched until she disappeared around a bend, then sat by the river for another hour, listening to the water lap against the bank. When I got home, the condo felt different already. Emptier, even though nothing had been moved. I poured myself a whiskey and sat on the balcony, looking out at the golden stupas that no longer seemed beautiful, just foreign. The next day, I came home from physical therapy to find most of Sa's belongings gone. She'd left the orchid on the windowsill and a note on the kitchen counter. Thank you for showing me what kindness looks like. I hope you find someone who deserves it better than me, Sa. I crumpled the note and threw it away, then changed my mind and smoothed it out. It was the most honest thing she'd ever given me. Over the following weeks, I tried to rebuild some kind of routine. I moved to a smaller, cheaper apartment closer to the physical therapy clinic. I started taking Thai language classes at the community center, figuring if I was going to live here, I should understand what people were actually saying. One afternoon, I ran into the Dutch man from the coffee shop at the immigration office. "How did things work out with Sassathorn?" he asked. "About like you predicted." "Sorry to hear that. These things happen more than you'd think. The girls aren't necessarily bad people. They're just playing a different game than we are." "Different game?" "We're looking for love, companionship, someone to grow old with. They're looking for economic opportunity, security, a way out of poverty. Sometimes those goals align for a while, but usually not permanently." She said she cared about me. She probably did in her way, but caring and prioritizing are different things. You were never going to be her priority, you were her means to an end. I joined a support group for expats who'd had similar experiences. Turned out I wasn't alone. Half the men in the group had stories that sounded like variations of mine. Younger Thai or Vietnamese women who'd provided companionship in exchange for financial support, then moved on when better opportunities arose. "The hardest part," said a retired teacher from Australia, "is not knowing what was real and what was performance." "Maybe it doesn't matter," suggested a former engineer from Germany. "Maybe the feelings you had were real, even if hers weren't. Maybe that's enough." I wasn't sure about that, but slowly I started to feel less like a victim and more like someone who'd made a costly mistake. The money hurt. I'd depleted a good chunk of my savings. But the real damage was to my ability to trust my own judgment. 3 months after Sa left, I was walking through the Sunday market when I saw her at a jewelry stall with Niran. She was trying on a gold bracelet while he counted out bills. She looked happy, relaxed in a way I'd never seen her. Our eyes met across the crowded walkway. She smiled and waved, the same gentle smile that had made me feel chosen all those months ago. I nodded back and kept walking. That evening, I called my daughter in Colorado for the first time since moving to Thailand. "Dad, how are you? How's the exotic romance going?" "It ended," I said. "Oh no, I'm sorry. What happened?" "I fell for someone who was never really there. Are you okay?" "Getting there. Listen, Katie, I know you were worried about me moving so far away. Maybe you were right to be concerned. You don't have to come home if you don't want to, but you know you're always welcome." "I know. I'm not ready to leave yet, but it's good to know I have options." After we hung up, I sat on my small balcony and watched the sun set over Chiang Mai. The city was still beautiful, still foreign, still full of possibilities I didn't understand. But for the first time in months, I felt like myself again. Eugene from Tulsa, retired paramedic, widower, father, grandfather, not some character in someone else's story. A few weeks later, I was getting a legitimate therapeutic massage at a clinic recommended by my physical therapist when the masseuse, a woman about my age with kind eyes, struck up a conversation. "You live in Chiang Mai long time?" she asked in careful English. "About 8 months. Still learning." "Learning language or learning culture?" "Both, I guess, sometimes the hard way." She laughed. "Hard way often, best way. More expensive, but you remember lessons better." Her name was Molly, and she'd worked as a massage therapist for 15 years. She was divorced, had 2 grown children, and spoke matter-of-factly about the challenges older foreign men faced in Thailand. "Many Thai women your age, we understand better what you need," she said during my 3rd visit. "Not excitement, not drama, just peace, companionship, someone who know how to take care without taking advantage." "You've seen this before?" "Many times. Young girls, they see dollar signs. Older women, we see human beings." After my massage sessions, Molly and I started having coffee together. She taught me useful Thai phrases, helped me navigate the healthcare system, and shared stories about her children who were studying in Bangkok. She never asked for money, never hinted at financial problems, never made me feel like I needed to prove my worth through my wallet. "You seem different from other Farang men," she said one afternoon. "How so?" "You listen when I talk. Ask questions about my life, not just wait for your turn to speak. Very rare. Maybe I learned something from my mistakes. Good. Mistakes are expensive, teachers, but they work if you pay attention. I was paying attention now. To the way Molly's eyes crinkled when she laughed, to how she insisted on splitting the check at restaurants, to her gentle corrections when I mispronounced Thai words, to the fact that she talked about her ex-husband without bitterness and her children with obvious pride. She wasn't trying to be my salvation or my fantasy. She was just being herself, a competent middle-aged woman who'd built a life through her own efforts and didn't need rescuing. One evening, as we walked through the old city after dinner, I told her about Sa. I feel stupid for believing her, I said. Why stupid? You believed because you wanted to believe. This is human nature. But I should have seen the signs. Maybe. But maybe you needed to learn this lesson. Maybe now you know difference between someone who wants to be with you and someone who wants to use you. And what's the difference? Someone who wants to be with you will try to understand your world. Someone who wants to use you will only show you theirs. That night, I went home and wrote down everything I could remember about my relationship with Sa. Not to punish myself, but to remember. The red flags I'd ignored, the conversations that should have raised questions, the moments when my gut had tried to warn me. I also wrote down what I'd learned about myself, that I was still capable of love after loss, that I craved connection more than I'd realized, that I was willing to pay almost any price to feel needed again. Some of those truths were painful, but they were mine. Sa had taken my money and my trust, but she couldn't take away what I'd discovered about my own heart. 6 months after Sa left, Molly and I were having our usual coffee when she mentioned that her son was getting married. You would like him, she said. He work as nurse, like you did with ambulance, always helping people. I'd like to meet him sometime. He coming for wedding next month. Maybe you join us for dinner? The invitation felt significant somehow, an introduction to her real life, not just the polite friendship we'd maintain. I'd be honored, I said. Good. I tell him my Farang friend who understands Thai culture better than most Thai people. I don't know about that. You know enough. You know that respect is more important than passion, that friendship lasts longer than romance, that old love can be more beautiful than young love if both people want same things. As I walked home that evening, I thought about what she'd said. Young love had been all fire and hunger. Margaret and I could barely keep our hands off each other when we first met. But what we'd built over 40 years together had been something deeper, quieter, more enduring. Maybe that's what I was really looking for in Thailand. Not a second chance at being young, but a chance to love with the wisdom that comes from having loved and lost before. Sa had been right about one thing. We did want different things. She wanted adventure, excitement, the kind of romance that burned bright and fast. I wanted partnership, stability, someone to share the sunset years with. Neither want was wrong, but they were incompatible. The tragedy wasn't that she'd used me, it was that I'd tried to make her into something she never intended to be. A year later, I was still in Chiang Mai, still taking Thai lessons, still getting massages from Molly twice a week. We'd become close friends, maybe something more. Neither of us was in a hurry to define it. I'd learned to read the signs better, not just of deception, but of genuine interest. The way Molly remembered small details about my physical therapy appointments, how she corrected my Thai pronunciation with patience instead of amusement, the fact that she introduced me to her friends as her friend, not her customer or her foreigner. One evening, we were sitting by the river, the same spot where Sa had ended things with me. Malay was teaching me the Thai names for different types of boats when she paused mid-sentence. You think about her sometimes, she said. It wasn't a question. Sometimes. Less now than before. What you think about? Whether she's happy. Whether she got what she was looking for. And you hope she did? I considered this. A year ago, I would have wanted Sa to suffer the way she'd made me suffer. Now, the anger had faded into something more like sadness for both of us. Yeah, I said. I hope she did. I hope Niran makes her laugh the way she deserves to laugh. I hope they're building something real together. This is very kind thought. She wasn't evil, Molly, just young and scared and trying to survive in a world that doesn't give people like her many options. And what about you? You get what you're looking for? I looked at her, this kind, complicated woman who'd somehow become essential to my daily happiness without either of us noticing, and realized I had gotten what I was looking for, just not in the package I'd expected. I think so, I said. Maybe not the way I planned, but yeah, I think I did. Molly smiled and returned to her lesson about boats. As the sun set over the Ping River, turning the water gold and orange, I felt something I hadn't experienced in a long time: contentment. Not the desperate happiness I'd chased with Sa, but something quieter and more sustainable. I'd come to Thailand looking for warmth, for my bones, for my heart, for my remaining years. I'd found it, lost it, and found it again in a completely different form. The second version was better, I thought. More honest, more real, more mine. That night, I updated the journal I'd been keeping since Sa left. Instead of recording my pain and confusion, I wrote about plans Malay and I had made to visit her hometown, about the Thai phrases I'd finally mastered, about how good it felt to wake up each morning without wondering what lies I'd choose to believe. At the bottom of the page, I wrote, "She helped me feel again, and she hurt me. Both things are true, but only one of them matters now." I closed the journal and looked out at the city lights of Chiang Mai, twinkling like stars that had fallen to earth. Tomorrow, Malay would teach me more Thai words. I'd practice with my language exchange partner. I'd get my blood pressure checked at the clinic and maybe treat myself to mango sticky rice from the vendor near the Wat. Small pleasures, quiet routines. The kind of life I'd actually been looking for all along, I realized. Sa had been a detour, an expensive lesson in the difference between wanting to be loved and needing to be needed. I didn't regret loving her. I only regretted not loving myself enough to walk away sooner. But that was a mistake I wouldn't make again. Thailand had taught me that much, at least. Sometimes the most important lessons cost more than you think you can afford, but they're worth every penny in the end.